Thank you for browsing page 121. Today we're going to take a look at Faster Than Light Nomad, the science fiction role-playing game. You're saying, wait a minute, you did this one about a year ago. I did, but this is the big deluxe version. It's not the pamphlet-sized. And they added some new stuff, and it's pretty exciting. This is not going to be a side-by-side comparison to the original edition. This is simply going to be a look at what is out currently. I want to thank the folks at Stellagama Publishing for sending this my way. And let's jump in. The author credits go to Omer Golan-Joel, Richard Hazelwood, Josh Peters, and Robert Garita. So here we go. There we go. And one neat thing about this one, I said this in the last video, is I was one of the playtesters on this guy. My group and I played a game. We did a character session, 0, and then we played a game by way of prep, and then I sent my feedback to Stellagama, and they very nicely put me as a playtester. So here we go. We got the table of contents, always welcome in a book like this. And the thing I have to say first off, this is a 2x6 space game, and it's rules light, and it's intentionally rules light. The authors want you to just jump in and play, not spend a ton of time prepping player characters or NPCs or anything like that. I do like that. That's very handy, and there's some sections in this book that I will absolutely be using in either future version, running this game or any other 2x6 space game. So we get about the authors, about the Stellagama Publishing, and then the one basic rule, Rule 0, to facilitate play, the referee is the final arbiter of any game-related question. Yay! And there we go, basic rules. So the die rolling convention is usually just 2 dice 6, make a number. We're all very familiar with that. You have advantage and disadvantage dice. I've explained those in other videos related to 2 dice 6 space games. And then here's your character. How you create your character? It's very, very quick. You just create a character. They end up being not bare bones, but very simpler than a lot of other games, and then you go from there, and you can make this as simple or as complicated as you want. But if you're looking to get a group into 2x6 space gaming, this is definitely a book to look at, because you can very quickly whip up some characters and then play the game. You can do this, you can whip the characters up and play the game in the same night. The character creation is not that tough. The games I did about a year ago, we did an entire night of character creation, and we were done by about less than 2 hours in. And that was with all of us taking our time and really kind of nitpicking, and we still finished it quick. So this is a nice, simple rule set, which I like. We get talents, various talents that your character may or may not have. Martial artist is one I've always thought was missing for a 2x6 space game. Your character is a highly trained martial artist. Their feet and fists are lethal weapons. Add +1 die to the damage rolls of any of all unarmed attacks. Like the artwork. And then character talents. Talents are just basically things about your character, like you're ambidextrous, you have a big mouth, you are intimidating, and then we get professional talents, and you can pick some professional talents. And the book goes into how you do it. I'm not going to do a detail on how to make the characters, simply that the characters are quick to make. And then we come to my first bookmark. I bookmark as I'm going through when I read these to remind myself to stop at certain areas and talk about it. So here we have equipment packages. I thought this was a great idea. The regular character design process leaves the purchase of equipment to the players. This is fine for experienced players who have time to select their own gear. However, to expedite this often time-consuming process, we have pre-selected equipment packages for new players, or for times when selecting equipment is too time-consuming. Each of the equivalent packages below with an average credit of 7,000 credits, and whatever money was left over remains to the player character. These equipment packages are based loosely on the character archetypes, but it is not required that a character with a given archetype select the same equipment package. I liked this idea a bunch. So we have, for instance, the diplomat. These would be things that the diplomat might spend. It would cost him 2,795 credits, and he would pocket the difference between 7,000 and that number, or 3,005. And that's how they're all set up. But if I wanted to be a diplomat who always kind of wanted to be a scout or a soldier, I could go ahead and I could buy the other credit pack. I like that. That's nice and fast, and you don't have a lot of people having to write down this and that they have. You can simply refer back to this equipment package if you need to. And then we have some character generation examples, which I've always liked, and these would make good player characters or NPCs. And then we get experience, and you can become more skilled in your area, and you can go from experienced through veteran, expert, veteran, elite, and legend. And you can use points or hero points. Points to advance the character. Hero points are basically items or points you can use to get a reroll or some other facet of the game that didn't go your way. You can spend a hero point and you can reroll that roll and stuff like that. I've always liked hero points. I have used them. They definitely have a place in a lot of games. Not every game, but a lot of games. And then we get a nice look at psionics. And the way psionics work in this game, there's no points. You simply have so many psionic talents, and then you can go ahead and roll your skill check to see if you're able to do it. And there's a lot of good ones in here. This reminded me a lot of the early Gamma World mutations charts. And that's a positive thing, by the way. Anything that reminds me of old Gamma World, I'm in. How you do combat, again, it's 2 dice 6. Time and actions. Ranges. So we have ranges as close, near, far, and impossible. And all kinds of little details there. Healing wounds. Damage and healing, healing wounds. Morale. Nice little sidebar artwork. I like that. They threw in some color in these, which is nice. Love this picture. This reminds me so much of old comic books. And that's, again, a positive thing for me. So we still have the example shootout going on. Hacking rules, if you want to hack computers and such. Environmental hazards, very important. Equipment itself, and then they break it down by technological ages. So you can pick what age you're going to be in. No technology, early primitive, late primitive, early mechanical, late mechanical, early atomic, late atomic, early space, late space, early interstellar, advanced interstellar, early galactic, late galactic, cosmic. Cosmic would be fun. Cosmic's a game I may have to talk my guys into playing, because it would be fun to just let all the stops out and just go ahead and make Star Trek look like it is garbage tech. Living salaries, expenses and salaries, covered very nicely here. Very quick look at it, but I liked it a lot. And then salaries for tasks, if you want to hire somebody. Personal armor, personal and support weapons, melee weapons, projectile weapons, energy weapons, heavy weapons, grenades and explosives, vehicle weapons, lots of stuff in here. General exploration equipment, this I really enjoyed. I've stolen a few ideas out of here already. I'll be stealing some more. And honestly, this translates to games like Gamma World 2. I can go ahead and easily recreate some of these as Gamma World items. So I love books like this for the massive ideas they give me. Pharmaceuticals. We have fast forward drug, which slows your metabolism, makes the world seem like you're going fast. And we have slow-mo, which is a drug that accelerates everything in your body and makes the world look like it's going by slow. Fast drug makes the world seem slow. Slow-mo makes the world seem fast, in case I said that wrong. And then cybernetics. I like cybernetics. Nice deep dive into them. Always good. Always important part of any kind of 2 dice 6 space game. I like a lot of that. Keeping the cybernetics going. And then we get to Cosmic and Galactic Technology Catalog. You want to take the stops out and let anything kind of go right here. This is your chart. There's some really good stuff on here. Not the least of which is the stasis bomb, which freezes time in the blast radius. That's a cool idea. And then we go to vehicles. Vehicles is pretty straightforward. And we're going to get into vehicle combat in a minute. I like that we have hovercraft, watercraft, submarines, aircraft. Vehicle combat basic procedures. I did introduce a vehicle combat in the game that I ran from the system, and it worked fine. As long as you're not looking to really dial in, and that's what I wanted for that game, this system works great. Vehicle combat examples, which I like. They did a nice job with this book. I really enjoy it. This is going to be very inspirational for a lot of gaming for me. I even took one or two of the concepts here and I threw it into one of my D&D games not terribly long ago. As I said, this stuff translates easily. Now we have the section on robots and robot construction. Robot brains and drones. Again, thinking Gamma World with a lot of this stuff. You get upgrades. I love this artwork, just kind of a downport kind of layout. Starship design, you've got it right here. It's quick, it's easy. There is not a ton of granular information as far as FTL travel. It's kind of how you want to do it. They have a sample of how it works here, but you can change that in many, many ways. And then technologies and further modifications. You get disintegrators in there. Made by the lowest bidder is one of my favorites. The ship is cheaply designed, or worse still, over-engineered. This reduces the initial base hull cost by 10%, but increases maintenance costs by 50%. I thought that was a great idea. And then ship costs, what they cost to operate, to own, to operate. More great artwork. Sample ships. We get many, many sample ships. And then we talk about Starship operations, FTL travel, finances, the mortgage on your ship, government fire sales and subsidies, Starship operational expenses, passengers, speculative trade, also just everything you're going to need. It's all in these pages. Space encounters, who you're going to be meeting, what they're like, chases, space combat, engineering actions, it's damage to your ship, and it's all very simple. You can introduce a lot of this stuff right there in the very first game. So if your players want to be people in space and you want to have some space encounters with them, you can do it right away out of this book. Continuing on, worlds. Generating your world. I like this idea, and I kind of like how simple this is, because simple can lead to complicated when you're ready for it. So trade class table, characteristics, and we're coming up on a section, various types of worlds still, and now we're coming to world tags. I liked world tags. You throw a D66 and it tells you some ideas for what might be on the world. So if I were to roll 2 1s, I'd have alien ruins. The world contains one or more sites of strange alien ruins. These may be recent, ancient, benign, or dangerous. So that's up to you as the GM to go ahead and decide what's going on with them. I thought that was pretty neat. I like this as inspirational stuff. And we get a couple of pages, 3 pages, 4 pages of just world ideas. And then the world presentation itself and several sample worlds. Tech ages, which is also excellent. You can play this game all the way from the Stone Age up to far, far distant future. No real reason you couldn't mix the two, with a little time travel. You can do a lot of stuff with this. Legal encounters, you can trouble with the law. Animal encounters. NPC encounter table, and the business encounter table I liked. You can throw a die 6 and it'll tell you what you're getting, and then throw another die 6 and tell you the little details on it. But the thing I really liked was business contact details. It's a D66 chart. D66, I guess I should explain. I throw two 6-siders, one representing 10s, one representing 1s. I end up with a result anywhere from 11 to 66, and that's what these charts are set up for. This is an old, but here we go. I use this just playing around a little bit. I threw some stuff on these tables just to see what I'd end up with, and I had NPCs that I hadn't even given any consideration to, thinking about, oh, they're like this or like that. It was inspired by these roles. And there's no reason you couldn't use some of this to help quick start a player character. You're looking for, you've got somebody who's new to role playing and you want to give them a few traits. There you go. Criminal encounter table. Citizens encounter table. I like this one too. Plots of the rich and famous generation. What are they doing? How come they're doing what they're doing? And then we got a bunch more. Roughnecks encounter table, non-governmental organization encounter table, random spaceport encounters, corporation generator, a lot of good inspiration in here. And then we have random patrons. Patrons are always important in a 2-6 game. And then we have sample NPCs. This is handy as can be because, again, for the time-crunched game where people just suddenly decided, yeah, they want to try this, you can go ahead and just use the sample NPCs as the GM and you can have your game up and running within a few minutes. Some really nice stuff. Xenofauna encounters. Those would be alien animals. So what terrain they live in, what niches they occupy in their ecology, characteristics, body size, traits and special abilities. I like special abilities include like Mind Blast, Ovipositor, which would be an egg layer. Xenofauna encounter tables. So these are the flowers and plants of the encounter. Again, you can make stuff really fleshed out. If I was to sit down cold GMing this, I would go ahead and I'd read this book cover to cover and then make notes on stuff that I wanted to add to my campaign and then go from there. If you're even more pressed for time, don't read the book cover to cover. Read the parts that are important to what you're going to be running. Reading the book entirely can come later. I personally like to read the books all the way through. If it's a new book, I like to read the whole thing and get an idea of what I'm going to be running. But you don't have to do that. And then FTL Nomad compatibility license, and then an index. And then we're out. And there's the back cover. So this is available right now in DriveThruRPG in softcover, hardcover, and PDF only. I'll put a link to that below. I really recommend this system. I enjoyed it when I ran it. I enjoyed reading it. I've presented both versions that are out right now. I think they hit a home run with this. I think this is fantastic. The other thing that this would lend itself to, in my opinion, would be solo play. There's no reason you couldn't sit down with some of these NPC charts and come up with a nice story of what you're going to be doing as you solo play. I'm hoping to start some solo play on a 2d6 space game, and I'm definitely going to use some of these encounter charts to help shape the game and help shape the narrative. But that's all I've got to say today on page 121. I hope you enjoyed what you heard and saw. If you did, please like and subscribe. Tell your friends. Let's keep growing the channel. Also take a look at the Patreon, see if you can help me out there, and leave any comments below. And that's it for today. I'll see you next time on page 121.